3 different people, 3 different forests, and none of them were actually alone. The first one realized it. When the light stopped moving, the light didn't move, even after we called out to it. This happened a few years after the first incident. At that point, I still hadn't completely learned my lesson. I wasn't going alone this time. I was with my friend Charles. If there was one person I trusted to get me into bad situations, it was him. Marles had a thing for finding places you weren't supposed to be. Abandoned factories, old buildings, remote structures. One weekend, he texted me about a fire lookout tower, deep in the forest, completely abandoned. No fences, no security. His plan? Hike out? Climb it? Spend the night at the top. I should have said no, but I didn't. The hike took most of the afternoon. No trail, no signs, and somehow we found it. It rose out of the trees like something forgotten. Charles didn't hesitate. He started climbing immediately. I followed, slowly, carefully. Some of the steps shifted under our weight. One wrong move, and it would have been a long fall. But we made it. At the top, there was a small square cab, windows on all sides, and a narrow walkway wrapping around it. The view was incredible. Miles of forest, nothing else. Then the light disappeared, and everything below us turned black. No houses, no roads, no movement, just darkness. That's when Charles made a mistake. He took his metal bottle, slammed it against the tower. The sound echoed. Unnaturally loud. I told him to stop. And that's when he went quiet. Serious, he told me to come over and pointed down. Light deep in the forest, moving slow, steady. Too steady. Almost like it was gliding. Charles didn't answer right away. Then he said something that made it worse. "You think that's a person?" And slowly it got closer. Still smooth, still steady. Then it jerked forward. Just for a second, like it skipped. That's when I felt it, that tight feeling in your chest. It reached the base of the tower and stopped. Directly below us, Charles leaned over and yelled, "Hey, you good down there?" No response. Whoever was down there knew we were up here. We were trapped, 70 feet up, one way down. Eventually, I grabbed my flashlight and pointed it straight down. Nothing. No person, no shape. Just darkness. And that light. Then I looked back down. The light was gone. It's gone. Because now we had no idea where it was. We went into the cab, closed the door, and waited. We didn't sleep. About 20 minutes later, we heard it. A metallic clang, not footsteps, something hitting the structure, moving, circling. Then I saw something, a shape, moving across the window, fast, too fast. I didn't even process it. I yelled. We both ran to the door, pressed against it. We stayed like that for hours. No talking, no moving, just waiting. Eventually, the sky started to lighten. Morning, I counted to 3 and opened the door. Nothing, no one outside. We grabbed our stuff and started climbing down, fast. Then Charles stopped, just froze. I looked past him. A section of the staircase was gone, completely removed. Someone had taken it apart. During the night, we had no choice. Jumped. Charles twisted his ankle. We didn't look around. We just left. Fast. When we reached the bottom, there was nothing there. No sign anyone had been there. Nothing makes sense. He thought that was the worst thing that could happen. Was wrong. I didn't realize the door could only be locked from the outside until something tried to get in. This happened years ago, back when I used to go on solo backpacking trips. I was in my mid-20s. No responsibilities, no real fear. I used to hike deep into remote forest places where you wouldn't see another person for days. No signal, no noise, just you in the woods. I had been hiking for 2 days in a remote section of forest. Everything had been perfect. Quiet trail, good weather, no people. But by late afternoon on the second day, the sky shifted. Dark clouds rolled in fast. The temperature dropped. And within minutes, the storm hit. Not rain, a full-on downpour. Wind bending trees, its branches snapping overhead. I was completely exposed, so I started looking for shelter. That's when I saw it. Through the trees, structure. Small, dark, hidden. A cabin. I ran straight to it and pushed the door open. Inside, it was dry, quiet. Still, there wasn't much inside. A broken chair, a small table, a cot frame, and a fireplace filled with old ash. It smelled off, but I didn't care. I was soaked and freezing. So I dropped my gear and sat on the floor. For a while, I just listened. Rain hammering the roof, wind shaking the walls. It felt like I had made the right decision. Then I started looking around, and that's when things stopped feeling right. There was a sleeping bag in the corner. Not old, not decayed, just sitting there. On the tabula, a couple of cans. Water containers, recent, not abandoned. Which meant one thing. Someone had been there. It's not long ago. But then I noticed the wall near the door. Scratches, dozens of them. Deep, uneven. No pattern. These weren't random. They looked like they had been made intentionally. Someone had been trying to claw at the wall. That's when I checked the door. Simple latch. Normal. But something felt off. So I opened it and looked at the frame. There was a metal bracket on the outside for a lock. I froze because there was nothing on the inside. No way to secure it. I walked over to the window. It looked intact. Too intact. Then I saw why. Screws. One in each corner. Driven in from the outside, and around the frame more scratches. Deeper ones. Like someone had tried to force it open. With their hands. This wasn't just a cabin. It was a place you couldn't get out of. I should have left right then, but the storm outside was violent. Maybe an hour passed. The storm didn't slow down, which is probably why I didn't notice it right away. It's the sound, scraping outside the wall. Then 2 heavy thumps. From the porch, I stood up, completely still, listening. Pressure on the door, not a knock. Wait, like someone was leaning against it. From the outside, why wouldn't they just come inside? The door wasn't locked, unless they didn't want to come in, unless they wanted me to stay inside. I started packing immediately, fast, panicked. I was seconds away from opening the door when the window exploded behind me. Fire. The walls caught almost instantly. Too fast, way too fast. Heat slammed into me. The air turned thick, unbreathable. I ran for the door, pulled it open. It didn't move. It was jammed. I slammed into it again. Until it gave, the door broke loose. I fell out into the rain. I didn't stop. I ran, blind. Through the woods, then something hit me. From behind, hard. I went down. There was someone on top of me. No words, just violence. I fought back, desperately, and somehow I broke free. I ran again. Didn't look back, didn't stop. Through the trees, I saw the cabin, completely engulfed in flames. I kept running until my body gave out. I made it out. Found a road. Someone found me. Burns. Smoke damage. Bruises. But I survived. I told the police everything. They didn't find anything. No cabin. No person. Nothing. But I know what happened. At least he saw what was chasing him. The next one never did. I knew something was wrong the moment I saw my own gear on the ground. This happened about 2 years ago. At that point, I still went camping alone. Not as often, not as deep, but enough. I told myself I understood the risks, that I was prepared. I always carried a rifle, planned my routes, stayed aware, but none of that mattered out there. This trip took me into a massive stretch of forest, the kind where you can hike for days, never see another person. That's exactly why I went. I needed the quiet. The first day was normal, peaceful. I hiked for hours, found a spot near a dry creek, set up my tent, started a small fire. By night, everything felt calm. It's calm. I went to sleep around 10, and sometime later, I woke up. No sound, no reason, just awake. I stared at the ceiling of my tent, letting my eyes adjust. That's when I saw it. A faint glow, orange, soft, coming through the fabric. I unzipped the tent slowly, looked outside. About 200 yards away, there was a fire, small, controlled. The campfire. I watched it, waiting for movement. Voices, anything. Just flames, steady, burning. I told myself it was another camper, someone I hadn't noticed. It made sense. So I zipped the tent back up and went back to sleep. Morning came, and that fire was the first thing I thought about. Not fear, curiosity. So I packed up and walked toward where it had been. It took about 10 minutes. I reached the clearing and stopped. There was nothing there. No fire pit, no ash, no burnt ground. Nothing. The forest floor was untouched, like no one had been there at all. I walked the entire area, looking for anything. A footprint, charred wood, disturbed dirt. I stood there longer than I should have, trying to make sense of it. But eventually I moved on. Still had 2 nights left. I wasn't going to leave over something I couldn't explain. That was my mistake. The second night, everything changed. I had moved deeper into the forest. Denser, older, the kind of place where sound doesn't travel the same. I went to sleep early. Sometime in the night it started. A cracking sound, loud, violent, like something massive snapping, and a deep impact. The ground shook. I sat up, heart racing. There was no wind, no storm. Nothing that should have caused it. I tried to calm myself. Then it happened again, louder, closer, from a different direction. Another tree, falling. That's when the fear set in. I couldn't explain it, and then I heard something else. A sound. Low, continuous. Not an animal I recognized. It sounded like something forcing air out slowly. A deep, unnatural rumble. And it didn't stop. It went on, for almost a full minute. I grabbed my rifle, aimed it at the tent opening, waited. The sound slowly faded, like whatever made it was moving away. But I didn't sleep, not after that. The moment the sky started to lighten, I packed up. Fast. I needed to see the tree. It didn't take long to find. The trunk was massive, broken, lying across the slope, so it was real. But when I got closer, I stopped, because something wasn't right. The break was wrong. It wasn't clean, wasn't natural. The wood looked torn, like it had been ripped apart. Deep ones, it's running through the trunk. Irregular, messy, like something had clawed through it. I checked the base, same thing. Stripped bark, gouged wood. I had never seen anything like it, and I didn't want to understand it. I just wanted to leave. But before I turned, something caught my eye, near the branches. On the ground. A small cluster of items. I walked closer and my stomach dropped. It was my stuff, a blue bandana, carabiner, both mine. I checked my bag. They were gone. That's when it hit me. Something had been near me. Close enough to go through my gear. Without waking me. Without me hearing anything. I didn't think I grabbed everything and ran. Every step felt like something was behind me, watching, following, waiting. I kept my rifle in my hands the entire time. I made it back to my car, drove out as fast as I could. Only then did I call the police. They didn't have answers. Neither did I still don't. The fire, the trees, the sound, all of it connected. I still go camping, but not like before. Because now I know something. Out there, you're not always alone. Isolation, timing, and something. Always just out of sight. They were never as alone as they thought. Be honest. Which one disturbed you the most? 1, 2, or 3?